People can hate him all they want, but they can't deny Kratos is a damn good character, and there's a reason why he has become a culture phenomenon and why people admire him. Toxic masculinity. I know I'm not completely qualified to talk about it, but we need to touch this for the sake of understanding Kratos. So basically some Reddit and Twitter's user accuses Kratos of being a toxic masculine character and a toxic father figure. Yes, kind of crazy. But at the same time, there has been a growing trend of depicting Kratos as a pinpoint of modern masculinity. You can check YouTube for that. So what actually is Kratos and what are his motivations? Let's understand from complete beginning. Kratos is a badass character from Greek mythology to Norse mythology, and who knows next, maybe Egypt. Kratos, the ghost of Sparta, is a complex and tragic figure in Greek mythology. Born in Sparta, Kratos was a fierce warrior and a respected leader in the Spartan army. However, his life took a dark turn when he was tricked into killing his own wife and child, leading him to seek vengeance against the gods of Olympus. Kratos went on a mission to destroy Ares, the god of war, who he blamed for his family's death. He eventually succeeded, but not without consequences. Kratos was cursed with the ashes of his family, which he could never wash off, and was forced to become the new god of war. Kratos' time as the god of war was marked by violence and bloodshed. He became known for his ruthless tactics and disregard for human life, earning him the reputation as a fearsome and unpredictable deity. Despite his godly powers, Kratos struggled with his past and the guilt he felt for his family's death. Kratos' journey continued in subsequent games, as he battled against gods and monsters, and ultimately faced his own mortality. He was eventually able to find redemption and peace, but not without enduring significant losses and facing his own inner demons. Kratos' story began in the world of Greek mythology, where he was a fierce warrior seeking vengeance against the gods. He was known for his ruthless and brutal tactics in battle, and he didn't shy away from using any means necessary to achieve his goals. He even made a deal with Ares, the god of war, in exchange for his help in winning a battle. But that deal turned out to be a curse, as Kratos ended up being manipulated and tormented by Ares, leading him to seek revenge against the gods. But as Kratos' journey continued, he found himself in a new world, the world of Norse mythology. He settled in the land of Midgard, where he started a new life as a father to his son Atreus. This was a significant turning point for Kratos, as he began to develop a new sense of responsibility and compassion towards his son. We saw a side of Kratos that we never thought existed, a softer side, a fatherly side. He struggled to connect with Atreus at first, but as the journey progressed, he began to teach him the ways of the world and how to become a warrior. Kratos' transition to Norse mythology also meant that he had to deal with a new set of gods, each with their own agendas and motives. He faced off against Thor, Baldur, and Odin, amongst others. But unlike his past battles in Greek mythology, Kratos found himself in situations where he had to think beyond just violence and brute force. He had to use his intelligence, his cunning, and his newfound sense of responsibility as a father to navigate through these challenges. Throughout his journey, we saw Kratos evolve from a vengeful and merciless warrior to a wise and experienced father figure. He learned the importance of forgiveness, the consequences of his actions, and the power of a father's love. His transition to Norse mythology allowed him to shed his past and embrace a new life, while also honoring his past and using his experience to become a better man. So as we know, Kratos has gone through a lot in his life. From his early days in Greece, to his time as the god of war, to his eventual journey to the Norse realms, he has seen and experienced things that most mortals could not even imagine. But one of the most interesting things about Kratos' character is how he has evolved over time. In his earlier days, he was consumed by rage and a desire for revenge. But as he grew older and became a father, his motivations shifted. He began to care less about vengeance and more about protecting those he loved. This change in mindset is what makes Kratos such a great character. He is not just a one-dimensional angry warrior. He has depth and complexity, and his actions are driven by a desire to do what is right, even if it means putting himself in harm's way. Another aspect that makes Kratos great and likable is his wisdom and those quotes. Kratos' wisdom comes from his experiences and his willingness to learn from them. He has seen the destructive consequences of his own rage and violence, and as a result, he has learned to control his emotions and use them for good. This has made him a more measured and thoughtful warrior, one who is capable of making sound decisions even in the most difficult of situations. Kratos is a complex character who embodies a particular kind of masculinity that is often seen as taboo in modern times. He's powerful, aggressive, and unapologetic, and he's not afraid to use violence to achieve his goals. For some young men, Kratos represents a kind of masculinity that is lacking in modern society, where men are often encouraged to be more sensitive, emotional, and in touch with their feelings. Kratos' approach to masculinity is often criticized as being toxic, but there's more to his character than just brute strength and aggression. As he progresses through his journey, he gains a deeper understanding of the world around him and becomes wiser and more introspective. He learns to control his rage and use it in a more focused way, and he develops a sense of empathy for those around him. Many young men look up to Kratos as a role model because he embodies a kind of masculinity that is confident, assertive, and unapologetic. He's not afraid to take risks, and he's willing to stand up for what he believes in, even in the face of overwhelming odds. In a society where men are often encouraged to be more passive and accommodating, Kratos is a refreshing change of pace. Now there's been a lot of talk about how the latest God of War game suddenly became deep, and how Kratos has somehow transformed into a more complex character. But that's some bullshit in my opinion, because Kratos has always been a complex character, and the God of War franchise has always had deeper themes running through it. From the very beginning, Kratos has been a character driven by a desire for revenge and a need to atone for his past mistakes. His journey has always been about redemption, and the consequences of his actions have always been explored in a nuanced way. The previous games in the series have dealt with themes like the consequences of violence, the dangers of blindly following the gods, and the struggle to break free from destiny. So when people say that the latest God of War game is suddenly deep, it's frustrating because it feels like they haven't been paying attention to the series all along. The latest game just builds on the themes and ideas that have been present from the beginning. As for Kratos himself, he has always been a character that is more complex than he initially appears. He may be a brutal warrior, but he is also a deeply damaged individual who has suffered greatly. Throughout the series, we see him struggle with his past mistakes and the weight of his actions, and we see him grow and change as a result. And that's why people are drawn to Kratos as a representation of masculinity. He's not a one-dimensional character who is defined solely by his strength and violence. He's a character who is struggling with his own inner demons and trying to find a way to move forward in a world that is often cruel and unforgiving. It's a lie that Kratos and the God of War franchise suddenly became deep. They've always been deep, and they've always been about exploring complex themes and ideas. I think that's enough for today. The character of Kratos is pretty deep, and so is overall God of War franchise. Hell, there could be a whole series about it, and maybe I'll make more videos about God of War in future. So if you don't want to miss them, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed this video, you can take few seconds to like this video. It will really mean a lot. Please comment down any suggestions and video ideas you have. I'll look into it. Finally, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.